So I'm Monica, and I'm going to actually switch my view because I think that might help a little bit. And I'm an artist, and I'm a connector, romantic. I do very romantic art, and probably an alchemist, even though I would like to think I was a bit of a maverick. I've done some unusual startups, started businesses, but I live in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm in my studio tonight, and I don't know, was there anything else I was supposed to act? But if you see my finger going up, it's because I'm trying to get the hang of working on my iPad Pro.
So where we're going to start is sometimes when people do the quiz, their results are a bit of a surprise. You know, so many of the celebrities, for example, were like, no, that's not me. I'm a celebrity. So I want to hear, and this time we're going to start with Jody and go around again. Was it a surprise, or have you always known that you're a connector? Or is there part of you that was like, don't put me in a box, Denise? I want to hear your reaction finding out that you're a connector.
So when I'm not surprised I was a connector. I was surprised at the negative parts of the connector. In fact, you know what, you girls, I kept these cards. Remember that? And I've just found them. I was so proud of myself that I had actually kept them. But I had a lot of actually shame around the fact that good things, you know, with the romantic and the connector, that they depend on someone for financial dependence. And you know, certainly that's the way I was raised, and that lack of completely financial dependence. And actually, I would say it even tripped me up a lot. I kept taking the test because I was like, surely that can't be it, because I'm working so hard at being these other things. But this is why it's actually fun to kind of have the full-blown version where you can actually read and see what your attributes are. And interestingly, as we move forward in the conversation, as I reread these, because I haven't visited this in a while, I was surprised at what I have worked past in being some of the traits of I deserve this, because I don't feel that anymore. I'm not going at this with the same amount of shame. But that was my initial reaction, was I don't want that to be me.
And so what I want to do is go back in time. Okay. I want you to think of the baby connector you, because every archetype often has to unlearn things, or they were told they were wrong at a young age, and that those things aren't necessarily valuable. You know, those things that just came naturally to you as a kid is often a clue, right? And so you know, the accumulators were saving money at a young age. The celebrities were putting on shows at a young age. What were you guys doing at a young age? And we're going to start with Carrie in a second, and then go around Monica, Deirdre, Orit, and then Jody. And then it's what made you think that some of that internal who you are wasn't right or wasn't appreciated? So if anything comes to mind around that, let me know. And if not, you can always skip it. It's totally fine.
So this is a great question, because my dad was in the military, and so we moved every 3 years. So one of the things I had to do was get in, make friends and connections very fast. Otherwise, you'd blow the 3 years and you wouldn't have any trusted friends. You wouldn't get invited to the birthday parties, and the playground would be no fun. And so I realized very, very young, at third grade, that this was detrimental, who you connected with. I never thought of taking that into like anything else but personal survival. It was a survival mechanism. It wasn't anything that I would have used, you know, in business or anything like that. So it's an interesting question. I don't know that I ever discussed it with anybody or was discouraged. It's what I had to do, because you were packing up your bags and your only friend was your big sister when you left. I just got off the phone with her, but still. So I don't know what was pushed out of me. It just was something that I had to do. It'd be interesting to see if it was actually really who I was, but I realized I was very good at it at a young age.
Monica, what did you do when you went into that new school on the first day of school? What was your
Well,
process?
this is an interesting thing because I think what happened over the years is I always look now for the wallflowers because I feel bad for them. And I even talked to my son when he was going to school. I said, if there's a new kid, you always take on the new kid. And and I've been around a lot of introverts. I would not consider myself one, but I've gone to conferences with girlfriends that are introverts, and to get themselves out of it, I say, let's look for who looks the loneliest and invite them to sit with us. So it almost trained me to make other comfortable comfortable, even at the detriment of my own comfort. In a lot of cases, is you were raised to make sure that everybody else was okay. But if you look at pictures of me, it's funny. My mother had pointed out as a child, I was always behind her knee. I was always hanging back. I was very shy, and you just, you did look around. And I probably got a little cagey at it because I realized that the kids whose parents owned businesses in town were the anchor kids of the community. And I very much wanted to come in and feel anchored. The military kids, they could be in their last year of the 3 years. And so I, again, make friends with everybody. I certainly resonate with that. I could be in any group. And as I got older, I'd get tired of groups and just filter and go to the next one. But again, it was a lot of survival and I needed to feel anchored, which is now translated in this need for a hometown, a home. And I had a life coach like, the world is your home. I'm like, you don't understand me. No, but she's right. Anyway.
So I want to just shift a little, because something that you guys were saying, about finding the wallflowers, befriending the lonely people. A few of you guys have said that. So I want to hear, how is this showing up in a negative, unhelpful way in your business or in your career at the moment? Because are you collecting strays? Literally clients or people. Okay, or it just fell off a chair. She just fell off a chair. So you're going to go first. How is this showing up around your pricing, the clients that you serve, the people, the problems that you're trying to solve? How is that? Tell me all the things.
So this is an interesting question. In the Smart Creative Women, when I had that podcast, I actually got burnt out doing it and had to pull the plug on it because I was posting and giving and had not figured out how to monetize it. I didn't know how to monetize it. I did e-courses, I did coaching, and I was doing 3 podcasts a week. And so it was just like, I wish I would have gone in with a plan of how to make money, but I had positioned it as, let's gather everybody together and be friends. And it's a coffee table roundabout. And then, everybody, but I know nobody was paying me. And how it shows up now as an artist. So this is several years later. And it's a good question to ask myself now, because I've taken myself out of that role, but I still have all the followers, and I have very expensive art, $4,000 or $5,000 down to, oh, well, what can they afford? And I just recently did something that was very off brand for me. And I did these small watercolors and charged $25 for them. And these, some of my other art friends were like, well, of course you sold out. And I knew it was not in the right price point, but I felt like, they've been following me for so long. They're on my newsletter. Let me just do something they can afford. So I feel like I'm assigning people what I think they can afford versus being aspirational. So and even at $200, $300, $400, save up and have my art on your wall. So that's how it's affecting me now. And it's really actually I'm wrestling with it.
Now there's just one tip that I think is really good for you guys. Hang on, saying update my software. No, I'm not going to do that. My Maverick is like, no, don't tell me what to do. Is how much technology And the world we live in as, as now is so perfect for connectors because you can be as generous as possible. You can have newsletters, podcasts that go out to so many people. You can give freely if you have a course that's running in the background and helping people. If you've got somewhere to go, you can give all your curated information to people and just put an affiliate link on there. But there's still something there about resisting receiving anything in return. And what is it? Does anyone want to just jump in? Is it you don't think it's going to be authentic, or you don't think it counts if there is any literal price on it or any reciprocity expected? What's the thing? Better to give than receive? What's going on? Anyone got an aha?
Oh, it's too easy. Like, this was very easy for me to do this. So creating a large painting's hard, starting with nothing. But the other things that I did, help people find their creative style and stuff, well, that was extremely easy. So to put like a monetary, I have a hard time, just actually charging and taking money for it. And I've coached a lot of creatives, and I feel like, what's the tangible good? So I actually end up switching my business model to something I want to hand you this item, and then I'll feel like it has value versus this esoteric thing. And this is coming from a girl who's bought a bunch of courses and sees tons of value and had personal coaching change my life. But when I'm doing it, I feel like, well, this comes too easy. And so I have a hard time charging for it.
Yeah, because your prints, those watercolor prints, they still would have been worth $25 if they were a digital download of that print.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I bought heaps of prints in digital ones, and accumulators love things like that too. Then they print it out themselves. But what is that? Do you just think, no, it doesn't count, or it's not as special, or the people are not going to feel as valued if they can only afford something that's a digital download? What do you reckon that is?
Well, I think for me, I just am a little iffy about the branding and how I bet what's the goal? Like, what's this? Because as an artist, to be in a gallery or, to go to the Brooklyn Art Fair, you don't have digital download. So it's a high-low thing that I'm struggling with myself. And what I've done to correct this, or to accommodate my own thinking until I get it more balanced, is I actually just hit go live today, and I'm wholesaling prints to shops, so I don't have to advertise it. Like, I don't have to go out and market it. I'm on fair.com. I can contact a retail business. It can be in the shop. And so I'm not having to take this high brand and also promote a lower $32 price point at the same time. But it has taken a while to come to terms. It's a hard, tricky thing to come to terms with your pricing and how you're going to show up, because there's so much information out there about branding, and some of it's very true, right? So
just to finish up, and again, I just want to say how much I've loved this conversation so much. It has been just so magical and beautiful. And I just want you to reflect on one thing before we finish up too, is really embracing technology, embracing automation, embracing the business tools that people like me can, help you with, and accumulators can help you with, your accumulator friend can help you with. And because that's the way we think, but it means that you can help and connect with so many people on their terms. And someone even on the call yesterday, they said, Denise, you don't even know it, but you're like my best friend. And when you guys know how low of a connector I am, and how much I, try and put that into my business, because I do care about people, I just don't have the capacity to do it like you guys do. But I want you to trust that your caring heart and your knowledge can be amplified on your terms. Absolutely on your terms. So let other archetypes help you with that. It's like having a magical tool to amplify it. It's a homeopathic effect, and it will be so potent for you guys when you really, really get that. And I'll laugh too, because one person on the celebrity call, she said, thanks so much for sending me cookies when I achieved my goal. And I said, Mara is our connector. She's the one who does that. I get the recognition for it, but I never have, like, she's the one looking for who's doing the things and remembering all that stuff that comes so easily to you guys, remembering people's names and birthdays and remembering the things. It does not come easily to everyone else. So sometimes even if you just sit and think about, how can I break that down? How can I teach that to other people, or to be, to have more connector, or just how can I amplify my voice? So just to finish up, I would love to just hear, a final thought from each of you about how Money Archetypes has helped you, how it's, made some shifts for you, or, anything like that.
So it's been an interesting journey from when I took it and tried to get, this was a while ago, an ex-husband, to get involved with the money thing and really understand our archetypes, and then being completely on my own. So there was no lack of financial dependence because I wasn't in a partnership for a couple of years. And what I really realized through the course all the way around was that bringing people on board that would help me maybe get more of the empowerment, because the connector's empowering mindset. I just read this, I hadn't in a while. The more comfortable I get with money, the more I empower myself. And really, I can't do it all. And getting a bookkeeper to help me set up QuickBooks was really big, and ditching the shame that it wasn't enough money. I even found a bookkeeper that dealt with artists. There's someone out there for everybody. And I feel like it's actually very pragmatic on how it's helped me, because I am a romantic also, and I like to shop. And so I put myself on the rent. I do Rent the Runway now. So I'm on a budget. I can shop all the time for a fixed amount of money. And if I think what it's probably done the most of the whole course is help me quit judging myself, and embracing the good, and then working with the things that are your challenges. So it's been actually comical almost to see it all.
Wow. Thank you so much for your generosity, everybody, and your connection and the ideas and all of the things. I just appreciate you so much. So, are you a ruler, a connector, or a maverick? Hang on, maybe you're more of a romantic or a celebrity. Take the Money Personality Quiz right now and find out which of the 8 money archetypes you are. And then I'm going to teach you how to profit from your strengths and make money in your business based on your natural personality. Click below and find out more.